Okay, we'll get this show on the road. So thanks everybody for attending. This is the second town hall we've had, as most of you know. The first one was quite well attended and popular, and we asked if people would like to have another one, and it was a something to zero vote in favour, so we had no hesitation in putting on a second one. I'm not going to go through and summarize the last one. If you want to find out the details of the last one, you can check out when we get the link for this one. You can see the recording and transcript of the last one as well. If you want to review what we discussed in that one. Today we're moving ahead a little bit. We're only got an hour today. We shortened it up a little bit, and we will run through. This is going to be a discussion led by the customers. We do have a few Syspro resellers here as well. We're going to pick their brains for their knowledge, but this is a customer-oriented thing. So we will let you guys drive the questions and the discussions. We're going to mute people and so on. So if anybody starts swearing or trying to sell anything, we will mute you. And the agenda is more discussion of what we talked about last time, so the licensing changes and pricing and so on, Syspro. We're also going to see if there's any interest in having these town halls again in the future, and how often that might be appropriate. We're going to float the idea here of see if anybody's interested in having a Syspro customer forum, so an independent, user-driven customer forum, as well as these town halls, where people can share ideas and techniques and discuss whatever they like. And then for today, we've got two topics beyond the licensing changes. We're going to talk about Syspro data and AI. We're going to throw out there to see what people are doing with that and what their ideas and experiences, because I know some people have done quite a bit with it already, with AI specifically as it relates to Syspro, not AI in general. And we're interested to see, from talking to customers, one of the things that you get with the new licensing model is the ability to use more modules in Syspro, because you get all the modules if you want them. And I'd like to hear if anybody has taken advantage of that or plans on taking advantage of that and how that's gone. So that's our short agenda, as it were. Starting off with further discussion on licensing changes. So does anybody have any questions to get things rolling about the licensing changes and pricing changes that Syspro have come up with in the last few months? Anybody want to kick us off here? We need somebody who's not shy, apart from me. Okay, Otto, go ahead. Can you let Otto speak, Victor?
Good morning, all, and thank you, Ray, for organizing this, this forum. But I just wanted to start with an opening question. Has anybody started the negotiations or is negotiating with Syspro, and have they softened their stance in terms of what they're willing to do? Because, it was pretty harsh. In the last meeting, we did part ways where we all understood it was a very take it or leave it type of situation with Syspro. But has anybody got any luck in further negotiations? Are they giving up things? Are they giving up on their stance? Do we know how many companies have left Syspro? Or I've also got, emails from Acumatica itself, not from a reseller. So where do we stand with that? What's the situation? That's my question.
Yeah. Thanks, Otto. That's a great question to get us going here. Who would like to respond? I talk too much, so I'm going to let somebody else respond. AJ, you can unmute yourself, AJ. So go ahead and share your insights.
Hey, good morning, everybody. We are in a similar situation as Otto mentioned. Take it or leave it. Sales and service are horrible. We've been a long-term 22-year-old Syspro site, and this management is unlike previous management, terrible. If any other business, we would have run away. There's a lot of loyal following with Syspro, and we feel like a lot of net new learning curve for the employees, if we move to a new software, but it is inevitable. At some point, we have to move. And we are part of a very large corporation, and their management is telling us, why don't we move to Dynamics? But they already have a lot of projects in the pipeline. Our division is, I won't say substantially large, but it disturbs the ecosystem. That's my main reason why I'm coming here, to see what others are doing, learn from the peers, so I can advise my management, make good decisions out of that.
Right. Thanks, AJ. That's actually very useful. I would comment that the biggest challenge is that the time frame is way too short for most companies to move on to new ERP before their license renewal comes up this year, because it is a big job, even for relatively small companies. John, please, you had your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we based in the UK, but I saw your, I came across this on the internet. I'm not sure how, and there's
we bought your name from one of those shady brokers there, John.
Yeah.
So.
But there's very few forums to discuss this, so I thought it was essential that I joined in. Our situation is, we've been Syspro customers since 2006. We're sort of heavily invested in it. We've built lots of integration around it and so on. So this timescale is way too short that we could do anything with it. And the fact that we've been asking for pricing for months since they announced it, and we've only just recently got it from them. And communications is very difficult anyway. And the UK is a slightly different situation, I think, in that there was sort of everything we had to do through a company called K3, Nexus, and so on, which has now become Syspro. Previously, and suddenly now we've got these partners cropping up that they want to sell through, which is, since they said it, I thought, well, that's the way they're going to go. They're going to want to sell through partners and separate themselves and go more subscription based and all that sort of thing. But yeah, we weren't quite expecting the enormous hike in prices that we've been given, and then and then this thing about going through partners for it. It's also proven very difficult to communicate with different people, because obviously normally what we do is get three quotes at least, and compare, but then we're getting this named partner of choice sort of option that supposedly we're being pushed to, so that's making it more difficult to get pricing. I've spoken directly or communicated directly with a few other people that I keep in touch with, Syspro users, from Syspro annual sort of events and what have you, and I've got very different pricing offers to different people, massively different. So that's where we're at, and a lot's just happened today as well before this meeting, so we've got a different tack to sort of come back with to Syspro, and we're going to be approaching other partners as well. I think they're probably the people that we've been speaking to since all this blew up, who have been blaming Syspro as being the people who are pushing the pricing. I think possibly it's not just Syspro that's pushing the pricing here, from what I'm hearing from other people. So that's kind of our experience of it so far. Right, but we will move away from Syspro over time if we continue to receive this sort of experience. We know that other platforms cost, and it's a case of weighing everything up and working out what's economically beneficial for us and gives us a return that we want. And that might change, but at the moment, we would instantly be changing from Syspro if they gave us more time to do it. We will be planning a route if they can continue to treat us this way. So.
Okay, thanks, John. Kirill, you've had your hand up for a while there. Why don't you go ahead and give us your 2 cents? Oh, by the way, people, there's a chat that you can drop questions and a Q&A. Which one are we using, Lucas, chat or the Q&A?
Preferably Q&A.
Okay, so you can go to the Q&A tab at the top of your Teams screen, and you can drop questions in there. Go ahead, Kirill.
Hello, everyone. So I guess a couple of things from my end. We've been with Syspro for a little over 30 years, so quite dependent and connected to them. 96 user concurrent shop. Our VAR in the US exited their partnership agreement with Syspro when all this kind of transpired. Just to this date, we don't have a vendor of record and have been dealing with Syspro direct. I just want to say the pricing is drastically different. And I will say that the pricing that we got, I will say, was slightly more than what our annual commit was before, not drastically different. And we were able to get a 1-year quote from them as well. But I will say that quote was only valid for a couple of weeks, and I felt that that was a slight fishing exercise. It's expired at this point. Don't know if they were actually willing to go through it or commit to it after the fact. But any quotation that I've gotten from them was literally valid for no more than 20 days, which to me is really, really short and difficult to align with when you have approval processes and it's a chunky number. So just wanted to sprinkle that for the group. Everything is negotiable is what they're telling me. And nothing is fixed in stone. And if you're not happy with your partner of record, we were told you could definitely bypass them, request any partner of record, or go to Syspro directly as well. They are sending out quotations.
One note that we found from the last town hall, the first town hall, was that Syspro themselves have very poor information on who the contact people are at all of their clients. So a lot of customers hadn't even heard of the change a month ago.
Yeah,
but
we had to reach out directly, right? Myself, I went right into their customer service channel, and they said, who are you kind of statement. And when we said, hey, our partner called us, said they're no longer selling. It took a couple of weeks for them to come back saying, oh, we don't have a partner assigned for you, and it's been dragged on, and just been dealing with an individual there directly.
Well, that's useful to know you can deal with them direct. I know that some customers have negotiated changes, so that is certainly possible. But the general comment I've heard from other customers is that you might have to ask 2 or 3 times. So be persistent. And it is a slow process.
Yeah.
So since we're already in July, start asking now and push for what you want.
We do have a China installation, as you're aware, right? That's got separate from my global instance, where we're running a discrete 20 user seat there. No negotiation options were available through that channel, and that had to go through a partner on that end. So
interesting. Okay. Otto, go ahead.
I just wanted to add that we are our license basically is up for renewal December the 1st, so we're good until the end of November. We are negotiating, but I have now quietly got the approval from the organization to look at other ERP systems. So in other words, we've been with, similar to AJ, we've been with Syspro before even Syspro was, I think, even formed. So, we've gone through the learning path, through the growth pains of Syspro. And the only way, my feeling is the only way you're going to negotiate a lower price for your maintenance cost is by negotiating the number of seats. But the price per seat is still going to be what they want. So if they've gone from, I don't know what it was, to what the new price is, but we're talking, a multiplier of 2 or 3, you're still at the end of the day paying less. And you'll be even paying less if you commit to a 3-year period. And I'm thinking, that's going to shoot them in the foot, because we will be looking at new ERP systems over that 3-year period, more from a business justification standpoint the ownership of the company is now saying, is this the best software tool that is out there for us? So unfortunately, Syspro has opened the door and put now the emphasis on IT to justify and find a new potential solution so that they can have a comparison apples to apples, be it Microsoft Dynamics, SAP, QAD, Acumatica, whatever the deal may be. But that's where we are right now. So it's good to hear that, it's negotiable, but the ownership doesn't like these type of surprises, if you wish.
Right.
And it put a lot of stress on them. I have to say that also.
It has been poorly handled, I think, is the general comment. So before we get to other questions here, I'm going to pick a survey here. We're going to get your feedback. So what we're going to do, Lucas, can you pop up survey number 1.1? We're just trying to get actual feedback from you guys, and you should get a survey question pop up so you can put your vote in. Unless we're having technical difficulties. How are we doing there, Lucas? There we go.
Oh, it's
Okay,
going.
so if you guys could fill it in and submit, we'll give you a few seconds. We'll be sharing the survey results, obviously, with everything else at the end of the... Okay. You don't have to fill in the survey. You can just click the X if you don't want to fill it in. And while people are doing that, AJ, you've got your hand raised again, so I'll let you go ahead.
Yeah, I want to understand from other people, like, so they are giving, no rhyme or reason on the quotes they're giving. In general, I think they are doubling the cost of annual license fee and doubling the users, which is impacting plans like ours where we run 3 shifts and Concurrent works perfect for us. So
Right.
in that case, I want to see if how other people are negotiating. There are some organizations where it is a net new benefit to them because they are getting either right scan or credit card module, that or POS somewhat useful to them, or QC modules. For us, we own most of the modules in Syspro, including right scan, point of sale, tools like that, right? EDI. We're not seeing that new benefit. It feels like they're pushing that on our throat, which being a good company and felt like, a good value proposition. We are on catch 22, where if we feel like we have 9 months, we can get rid of this. And we don't feel confident. And if we want to take 1 year, we're not confident if we can get all the customization into the new tool like Dynamics 365 or even like Global Shop or something like that, mid-market solutions. So I want to see what other people are considering in this scenario.
Yeah, I think you've made a couple of very good observations there. So I know that other customers on this group, on this chat that I know of, have global operations. So they've got users in say Europe that are able to use the concurrent licensing when the users in North America are before they're done and before they start their day and that kind of thing. Or lots of customers have 2 or 3 shifts. So for those shift workers, then the one set of users it works, and then others don't. So it's a very much a change in the way things are done. It's also an increase in price, but it's for some customers it's a relatively modest increase because of the way they were structured before, and other customers it's a big increase. And I think one of the things that some Syspro customers done, they've tried to find ways to just reduce the number of named users they actually need. So a lot of customers have, because they've got salespeople that just need to do queries in Syspro occasionally or something like that, they have a couple of concurrent users available for the salespeople to use, and they talk to log in, make your query, and log out, that kind of stuff. Well, that goes away now. Those salespeople, if they want access to Syspro, they have to have a named user, and so you're jumping through hoops in various ways to try and eliminate or reduce that number of named users. So I promise not to talk too much, so I'm going to pass you off to John. John, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, actually, it's addressing our experience of addressing some of those points that you just said. So I'll put it in the question thing there. In terms of approaching Syspro directly, so we've had this issue of the difficulty of speaking to multiple partners so that we can get a view of differing partners, which is the whole point of having a partner network, which is, we're a heavy Dynamics user as well. And of course, we can go to anybody and get pricing and look at other options. Our response from Syspro was very quiet, first of all, very uncomfortable initially. And then it was well, we'll just be matching that partner rather than we're going to do it. And I think it was just possibly an issue with not wanting to stand on that partner's toes while they're trying to sort all of this out. So anyway, in terms of user counts and so on, because obviously that's something we considered, our user count will have to go up as a result of this over the number of concurrent users that we have at the moment. And yeah, we have a lot of integrations, and we manage orders in Dynamics, and they sort of feed through to Syspro, and there's a certain amount of manual stuff in Syspro as well. And it would be, okay, can we do that elsewhere and just integrate and use business objects and so on. But with the figures they've already given us for different tiers of users, it doesn't appear there's not a massive amount of change between tiers of each 10 users as it goes up, not to warrant sort of the amount of effort it would be to move people elsewhere. It's just the whole cost has increased massively, and we might save a few thousand by trying to massively reduce our number of users. That's my experience with that so far. So yeah.
Thanks, John. Does anybody, I seem to recall from the first one, and we can look it up on the transcript of the first town hall, does anybody have any information on when you're using things like e.net business objects, whether you have to have a named user? How does that work? I know that there's the token system for use of business objects, where they're giving you so many tokens a day or so many tokens a year, I think it is. Does anybody have any insight on that? Somebody more informed, more detailed and technical details on that than I. Put your hand up or maybe comment in the Q&A. Karen, you've been waiting patiently there. I'll let you talk now. You're still muted, Karen.
Oh, sorry about that.
No worries.
We've been a customer of Syspro for 20 years or more, and we're a small company. We only have 25 concurrent users. Our increase that they're proposing for us is over 20%, which is huge for a company like ours. They say that, everybody can have all of the modules. We don't need any other modules, so for us that's not really a good selling point. There is talk that we're going to look around for a different ERP system, but realistically that takes quite some time to migrate to. So I just feel like we're over the barrel with Syspro.
Yep, you're not alone.
Karen, you're the lowest I heard of so far. 20%.
Yeah, no, you're right. I didn't want to say anything, but I think you got a good deal there, Karen, compared to everybody else. So yeah, there is apparently, I think it might be a little bit of a fuzzy formula, but there is I think they call it not volume, but like a usage formula that apparently they're applying to figure out, how much do you use Syspro, and then they're basing the pricing on that. But it's smoke and mirror, like it's a black box thing that they're obviously not sharing what the formula is, and I'm not sure that they're entirely consistent in applying it either. So if anybody has any insight into that, that'd be great. And please
Yeah, I have.
free to share.
I met a peer on LinkedIn. They had a 296% increase.
Wow. So it's highly variable. So I think that also means it's worth negotiating. Yeah. Okay. I would be interested to know how many, like we talked earlier, some customers are considering, not this year perhaps because there's not enough time, but what you guys are considering or thinking about doing in response to all of this. So we've had people respond verbally in here, but Lucas, can you put up survey number 1.4? That sounds very official, survey number 1.4, but we're going to put that up and just get your feedback on what you guys are thinking you might do. Just from this point on, and I'm answer this survey in the context of say the next 3 years, because 1 year or 6 months is not enough to do much. Okay, while people are filling that in, please fill it in and submit. John, you have your hand up, so go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to. It was again some information in relation to your earlier question about business objects and tokens and so on. So, yeah, there may be a formula that you say applied, and that might be why different people I'm speaking to are giving me very different feedback on what they're being quoted. Our increase is 3 to 5 times as much as we have been paying for licensing for to match our current set of requirements. In terms of names for integrations using business objects and so on, at the moment we have a lot of integrations and we try and stick with business objects. And we tend to use set up operators for different companies and test operators and live operators and for the different integrations so that we can separate out permissions and see, you know, and have more granular control over them. So one of the routes that we've done to reduce our user count somewhat, it's increased overall, but to try and keep the numbers down, is to say, well, our integrations would just use the same user all the way through, and that's fine because there's this 100,000 token inclusion amount that we've been quoted for the user counts that we've been talking about. And tokens wise, in terms of business object use, they're saying functional business objects that do sort of post transactions will take 5 tokens per use per transaction, whereas query and system business objects take no tokens. So, you know, and then you have to buy more if you're going above that 100,000 transaction use. Now, obviously, if you're using business objects within Syspro, they still remain free to use. That's inclusive. And the big benefit that you guys may not be aware of that we use is a product called Data Switch, which was developed by the UK reseller and has now become part of Syspro. And they packaged with it, and that is free to use business objects as well. So that if you put anything through Data Switch, and we put quite a lot through Data Switch, that's free to use, and that's an integration service, and you drop messages in there or whatever, and they'll be processed through. But you can also call Data Switch web services and have a synchronous response. So you could actually, rather than calling a business object directly, you could call a Data Switch web service to use a business object, and it gives you an instant response back. So,
has anybody actually done that? Called the Data Switch web service to see if it responds fast enough?
Yeah, we've done it, but and we compared timings. It is fractionally slower, but but it was quick enough for what we needed. And they say with the latest version of Data Switch, they've improved the responsiveness anyway, and you can do more load balancing and so on as well. So that's actually a very interesting route, and we will be using that more whilst we're using Syspro, and if we end up sticking with Syspro, yeah.
Okay, good. AJ, you've had your hand up there patiently. Go ahead.
Hi, I have 2 questions. I posted them in the QA. I like to know if anybody is using Dash DDX and if they have insight into File Hub, to compare apples to apples. And also, uh, do we have any insight into RightScan, they're rebranded as Syspro Mobile, how the license is it going to be available? Like, is it going to be, if we buy, like, let's say 100 licenses, all the 100 are extendable to RightScan?
Right. I don't know the answer to that. If anybody can contribute. I don't know, John. We'll let Kirill go first, and then we'll let you talk again. So go ahead, Kirill. But John might have an answer for you there, AJ. Yeah.
Just to sprinkle in there, they are charging tokens for query. It's in the terms and conditions. I think it's 1 or 2 tokens for query versus I think 5 to write.
Yeah, I might have to disagree with you, Kirill, because they did say that, but then they changed their minds. So I think
Yeah,
it is now free.
I'm looking now. They sent me a terms and conditions about a week ago.
Maybe they're back to charging again. I don't know.
It was in the terms. I'll find that and I'll update it in the
check
chat.
out on that one. Yeah, let us know. Like if we do keep these communication lines open, that would be good to know, because if they have changed it back to they are going to charge, then that obviously is very important for a lot of people. Thanks,
Yeah,
Kirill.
what they're doing is on the contract that they sent, the terms are actually a web link that goes back to their website. So theoretically, I guess they can keep dynamically changing that. And
yeah, but which version did you sign? Yeah,
I didn't sign anything, so that's a valid question there.
Yeah. John, I feel mean making you wait, but go ahead. Thank you for your
No,
contribution.
that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, it's only because we've obviously been negotiating and getting a lot of feedback recently. So yeah, on our quote, which we haven't accepted yet, but our currently valid quote, it does definitely say 0 tokens for queries. And what we've been told is RightScan is now part of the Syspro product and therefore is included in that. So if we are using RightScan because we're looking at it for the warehouse and so on, if we use RightScan, booking in things, picking whatever, dispatch, yeah, that's inclusive. So therefore not going to take any of those tokens up for us. So
John, you mentioned
Ray, I threw a
100,000.
screenshot. Of their tokens upset into the chat. So 2 tokens for query and 2 for setup.
Okay, thanks, Kirill. Has John, the 100,000 tokens number, is that 100,000 a month, a day, a year?
Sorry, 100,000 a month.
100,000 a month. Is that a flat, or is that dependent on the number of named users you have? How's
100,000 seems a pretty round number, doesn't it? So
yeah, for some users it means nothing. They will run through that like in 2 days. For e-commerce
users, to do that in an hour. Yeah,
we would have been over it had a lot of those transactions not been going through data switch already. So we do a lot of whip booking in from our lasers and things. We've got automated sort of systems for booking in all the cut metal and that sort of thing. And we put a lot of transactions through, but that all goes through data switch. So we would be comfortably within the 100,000 at the moment for those integrations outside of those areas. Otherwise, we would have been well over it. Yeah.
Okay. Otto. No, sorry, Otto. I'm going to make you wait. We've got somebody else who hasn't spoken already, so I'm going to skip you, Otto, and I'll come back to you. Sorry about that. But Stuart, go ahead, Stuart.
Hey, sorry. With the tokens from the last call was just totally news to me. It was not brought up by our VAR. I thought this was just like a whole other aspect of crazy that we'd have to work out. Our only potential integration that would use tokens is CADlink. It basically talks to SolidWorks, pushes the BOM into Syspro. What we got back, for what it's worth, and I don't know if this is accurate, is any existing things like that from like a resold, like actual module that lives or plugs into Syspro that you already have would not take tokens. I don't know if
actually
that's
very
going to
useful.
stick, but
Well, we might want to check the fine print on that one, Stuart. But no, that is a good point. And CADLink is one that is it an official ISV product, and therefore it doesn't count towards 100,000, or isn't it? That's a good question. Somebody did in one of the chats here post how are they tracking it? Now, I think there is a tracking mechanism that they plan to have, but you got to upgrade to the latest version before it's going to get installed. So, just be aware of that because it's something that they're going to also encourage everybody to go to the latest version, obviously, as they always do. That's not an unusual thing, but yeah, how are they going to track the number of tokens? So be careful about upgrading and stuff like that if you're using a lot of tokens. Okay, Otto, I've made you wait long enough. Go ahead.
So, Ray, what I'm hearing here is that there is no real strategy, or there is no way of how Syspro manages the renewals. It looks like the harder you negotiate, or the harder you push back, the more you're going to get. So really, when it comes to the tokens, how are they going to control? We're on a version of Syspro still that does not have that functionality. So are they going to impose that I install some software? I don't know. But what I'm hearing here is the opportunity actually is to just push back until you come to the point that it's either the end of their quarter and they have to meet a number, or it's the end of their fiscal year and they're really going to give you a good discount on whatever they're trying to do, because they're taking an approach. We're going to raise the price so hard, we're going to grab some extra cash, but we really don't know how much we're going to grab. That's the feeling I get from this conversation, from this forum.
You might be right there. Yeah. It has been a bit chaotic. I mean, things like the tokens thing that was introduced, I think about 6-7 weeks ago, maybe a little bit earlier than that. Out of left field, the communication's been very poor, from Syspro. And a lot of customers in North America anyway don't have a Syspro VAR. And the contact details that Syspro seems to have are about 25 years old. So they were sending emails to people who haven't worked at clients for 15, 20 years. And of course, nobody got the email. So there's been, and it has been very rushed, very, 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 very quick. But as to the motivations, we can only speculate, Otto, but speculate away. AQ, go ahead.
Okay, so how's it, guys? So 2 comments. One is to track tokens, they'll be using something called the Platform Manager. The Platform Manager is being made available from Syspro 6.1 right through to the current version of the software. The only version that will not have the Platform Manager available is the first version of Syspro 8. So that's the only one that you have to upgrade to actually get the Platform Manager to work. But according to what I know, you're going to have the Platform Manager working on Syspro 6.1, Syspro 7, and 99% of the versions of Syspro 8. The second comment I want to answer is someone mentioned that if you have existing software or existing integrations, then those won't use tokens. As far as I know, I'm a Syspro VAR. That is not true, but if you get Syspro to put it in as an exclusion into the terms and conditions, then you're okay. So it's probably, as they say, different customers are getting different deals. Some are getting a 20% like we heard just now. Others are getting 200 and somewhat percent like we heard as well. We're a VAR. We've closed most of our customers and we've got around 100% uplift from Syspro. So 100% is the number, but and less than that's a bit difficult to negotiate. But everything is definitely negotiable. And that's a comment from us. Thank you.
Thanks, AQ. Appreciate it. Okay, we're going to do another survey here. Hopefully everybody's getting some value out of these town halls. but we were wondering if there were other shared ways of communicating that might work better, because I know it's 6 p.m. Well, it's 6:45 now in South Africa. I had to get up early here. I'm not a morning person, but for an 8 a.m. start in British Columbia, and our compatriots in Australasia and Asia are asleep. So, Lucas, could you put up a survey number 2.4? And so we're interested. We're going to assume that there is some interest, but if you're not interested in doing more of these town halls or forums or other community things, then just don't answer. But if you could put in there, what would be the way that you would like to learn more about this and share information and so on, so we can see if we want to do more of these town halls. Okay, while we're doing that, I don't believe anybody has their hand up. Okay. So we're going to move on to the other couple of things. Okay, AJ, I'll let you go. Go ahead, AJ.
A quick question. Anybody has any experience with any of the EDI solutions? Most people using, their own custom solutions majority of the time. So we wanted to understand if any out-of-the-box solutions are any valuable.
Well, there was one that they used to call it Catechus, which was a third-party thing developed in California in collaboration with Syspro USA, but I believe that's just called Syspro EDI now. Does anybody, perhaps one of the VARs, can help us out there?
No, that's very manual as far as I know. The Catechus, it's a.
Nobody's doing EDI these days? Don't be shy.
Mostly custom.
Mostly custom. Okay.
Yeah. AQ.
Otto, your thoughts?
Thought is very easy. We use B2B Gateway, which is a US SaaS solution, and workflows to push it into Syspro.
Yeah.
Very easy.
Right. AQ.
The other one we use is Flowgear. I don't know if anyone knows of Flowgear.
Flowgear, yeah, I heard about them.
So Flowgear works quite well.
I would have a hard time spelling that, AQ. Could you post the name of that into the chat or the Q&A?
I'll put the web link on the chat.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. The other two things we possibly wanted to talk about today are the use of Syspro with AI. I mean, AI is everywhere here. I've seen half a dozen companies change their name to put AI in the title, like Sugar CRM is now Sugar AI, which I find amusing, but that's just me. Has anybody got any comment or any experience they can share with using their Syspro data in AI? AJ, go ahead.
Yeah, we have a significant success with connecting. Corporate mandated our data not supposed to go out. So we are able to take advantage of some LLMs because we are self-hosted. So hardware is not a concern for us. And we kind of, made a lot of gains with MRP on it. Syspro MRP has a lot of issues. We are able to overcome that with AI because AI doesn't need the structured data anymore. It can take data left and right and organizes, plus it self-learns and helps the scheduler to schedule it better. That's the area of success we found. Second area of success, we got rid of Syspro CRM, going to Salesforce. We are finding a lot of success with Agentforce. The current way of doing business is like, one customer service agent wearing multiple hats, doing multiple stuff for the customer. Now the new agent, to 2-3 agents are trying to service the same thread until it is perfect and putting the data into the agent queue, human queue, human in the loop. So human verifies and then responds to the customer. A lot of responses like, where is my order? Even though you send a email confirmation on the invoice saying that this is your tracking ID, people still sending emails, where is my product? It's supposed to be delivered here. AI is getting pretty good at solving that type of requests.
Yeah, and people are getting used to using AI to ask things like, where's my order? They don't give you an order number. They don't give you any details. They expect their AI to figure it out, which more and more often it can do. Yeah. And I think you made a good point there, moving to something like Salesforce or Dynamics. So you've got access to multiple different LLMs and more industrial strength. I'm trying to think of the right phrase, but more enterprise class solutions, then you can do a lot more with things like Copilot and Agentforce and so on and so forth. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to do another survey here. Lucas, can you fire up survey 3.1? Just interested to see if anybody other than AJ and so on have done anything already or planning to in the near future do stuff with AI. And we've got 9 minutes left. So while you guys doing the survey, AQ, go ahead.
So from an AI point of view, we've sort of built inventory optimization models for a few of our clients, working quite well, taking the inventory data and sort of working with that to get to optimization and getting back some working capital. It's in action, it's working, it's already assisting in terms of budgeting. So yeah, it's been a great tool for us. However, I had a meeting with someone at Syspro today, before this meeting actually, and Syspro Talk, which is the AI that Syspro is building, will be out within the next 2 to 3 weeks. I'm not sure if it's out for customers or just the VAR network, but yeah, according to what we know and what we hear is it's really powerful, and that's going to be part of the Syspro offering. I just don't know whether it will be consuming tokens and stuff like that as yet, but yeah, I'm guessing we'll find out soon. Thank you.
Thanks, AQ. Yeah. I would be very interested if anybody knows. I'd be very interested to know some of the technical details on the Syspro AI. Is it a specific large language model that they're using, or can you pick and choose the LLM that you want to use with the Syspro AI? How is that structured? Just in terms of the amount of flexibility you would have as a Syspro customer. They do seem to be locking you into the Syspro environment, which is what most software companies like Apple do. But I'm wondering if anybody has any details on how flexible it is. Okay, so we're gonna. Sorry to bombard you with surveys, but we're wondering if the Syspro customers would be interested in anything other than a town hall. So would you be interested in having a forum or something like that? So Lucas, can you pop up survey 2.1? But as well as answering that, if you guys have any specific suggestions, like a Reddit group, or what's your preferred way of finding out community type information, like user groups or Quora or whatever. What is your preferred way of sharing information with other software communities that you're a part of? Post those in the chat or the Q&A chat would be better, just to let us know how you find is the most efficient and effective way of sharing information with your peers and having discussions like this and so on. So we're quite happy to do more of these town halls, but if there's other ways you'd like to communicate and share information, we'd be happy to facilitate that as well. So we are now 5 and a bit minutes from the end there. And Lucas, he's showing off now. He's made a survey on the fly, so you can fill that in on the survey. How would you, free text response, how would you prefer to gather as a community? Does anybody else have anything on AI or the stuff we've talked about earlier?
I have one quick question, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Anybody else had any insight into what Syspro is doing on document processing? We are on Syspro 8 2024. We haven't invested time yet, but we want to learn 2026 or 2025. They said they're coming up with document processing modules where you can take an AP invoice or customer PDF. It can automatically parse it, and most people are using third-party tools, right? Azure tools or Amazon tools or Doc Parser to do that today.
I know that there is a product that seems to be quite widely used, not just in the Syspro world, but in other areas, other ERPs and so on, and that's called Trail with a D on the end, TRAILD.
Yeah, we are their customer already. We just want to see, like, where is that value that Syspro is bringing in their AI suite? Like, are they doing anything with document processing? Because that's majority of the edge cases in US, at least.
Right. Anybody had any experience other than with Trail with document processing, or have any idea what Syspro is planning to bring down the pike? Going to take that as a no. Oh, no, John, you got your hand up. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, so we use Anota DocuWare to process AP invoices in, and that sort of uses OCR and a bit of intelligence to process those in. That was recommended to us. That was the recommended route by Syspro and the Nexus here in the UK, which now they seem to have moved over to Trailed, and we've been told that Anota integration would count as additional pricing on the tokens of use of business objects and so on. So I'm interested that somebody got unlimited tokens and got other things included with their offer. So we'll be following that up.
Yeah, that's a good takeaway for me today.
Yeah, but what they did offer was an inclusive amount of tokens for Trailed, or transactions for Trailed, because obviously that's the one they're pushing now. Anyway, that was our experience. That's what we've had.
Yeah. Well, thanks, John. Yes, it does seem like Trail is the flavor of the month. For more than a month. I've seen them around for a few years, so they're not a flash in the pan. I think they're here to stay. They're Australian, but we won't hold that against them. Thank you, by the way, everyone, for your comments in the chat. I think we're just about we're running out of steam here, so we're coming to the end of our allotted hour. So thanks for your feedback. We will be sending off the transcript and video link probably in a day or so. It was a chance to tidy it up, remove the 10 minutes of silence at the beginning, and thank you for your responses on the surveys. Dominic Systems, by the way, we are not a Syspro VAR. We're not a Syspro customer. We have multiple people in our organization who have been blessed with working in the Syspro world for some of us for 30 years or so. And so we do integration with and enhancements to Syspro, including integration with CRM, which of course is relevant when you're trying to reduce your number of named users, if you can put them in CRM instead. So we do that kind of thing. And we really appreciate your time and attention. We will be letting you know, based on the feedback from today, what we will be doing for the next town hall and any other forums that we might put together. And we will try and get that information back to you quickly. And if you have any questions at all, you should all have myself or Victor's email addresses from the invitations and that sort of thing. So, of course, we're more than happy to answer questions if anybody wants to reach out and let us know if they have more stuff. We will try and share information with everybody, but if you wanted to just reach out to us directly quietly, so you're not doing it in a public forum, that's fine too. And we are 1 minute from the end there. So Raymond, you get 60 seconds, and then you're out of luck, I'm afraid. Thank you very much for attending, and we will be in touch soon. And take care, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ray. Thanks, company.
Thanks everybody for contributing. Yeah.